Μετά από πολλές συσκέψεις, αποφασίστηκε να σταλεί ο Υφυπουργός Εξωτερικών και στενός συνεργάτης του Κίσινγκερ, Τζο Σίσκο, στο Λονδίνο και κατόπιν στην Αθήνα και την Άγκυρα, σε μια προσπάθεια να βρεθεί μια διπλωματική λύση.
I'll tell you candidly, I said to Henry, Henry, you understand that you are sending me on a mission impossible. Literally, these are the words. But I said, obviously, we've got to do this.
Why was it that the Secretary himself didn't go to the region?
Why didn't the Secretary himself go? Well, you know, I've never given this some thought in the past, largely because I had been heavily involved in the Cyprus thing. He had other things to concern himself with. The private joke between us was that there was always a Kissinger plan and a Cisco plan. This is the Middle East now. And if it succeeded, it was a Kissinger plan. And if it failed, it was a Cisco plan.
Εξωτερικής πολιτικής ήταν ο Χένρι Κίσινγκερ. Ένας άνθρωπος που από ό,τι φαίνεται έβλεπε αρκετά θετικά την πρώτη τουλάχιστον τουρκική εισβολή στην Κύπρο. Ο Πρωθυπουργός της Τουρκίας Μπουλέν Ετσεβίτ επισκέπτεται το Λονδίνο και ζητάει από τη Βρετανική κυβέρνηση να το επιτρέψει να χρησιμοποιήσει τις αγγλικές βάσεις για να παρέμβει σαν εγγυήτρια δύναμη.
When I visited London 2 days after the coup on the island, I insistently suggested that as two guarantor powers, Turkey and the United Kingdom, should take joint military action on the island. This could make the Greek population more comfortable, but unfortunately they would not accept, the British government wouldn't accept it.
My recollection is that he was asking us if we would allow him to use our bases in order to permit the Turkish invasion to go ahead unhindered. I thought that was an outrageous suggestion. And of course we declined absolutely to do this. My principal recollection of that meeting is of that, and secondly, that he was willing to talk with the Greek junta and was ready to go along with us in having a meeting, although was pretty cool about it. He didn't really want it very much. And we hadn't had a reply from Brigadier Ioannidis. We hadn't had a reply from Brigadier Ioannidis at that time as to whether they would come.
Ο Ετσεβίτ έδωσε την εντολή να αρχίσει η προετοιμασία της εισβολής. Όμως, ούτε η Αθήνα, ούτε και η Λευκοσία, παρά το γεγονός ότι είχαν σαφείς ενδείξεις ότι θα γινόταν η εισβολή, είχαν προετοιμαστεί για να την αποκρούσουν.
Ο Ετσεβίτ με ρώτησε αν θα μπορούσαμε να κάνουμε την απόβαση και πόσες μέρες χρειαζόμασταν. Εμείς οι αρχηγοί κοιταχτήκαμε μεταξύ μας και απαντήσαμε πως μπορούμε να ξεκινήσουμε σε 5 ημέρες, δηλαδή στις 20 Ιουλίου.
Στις 18 Ιουλίου ο Μακάριος μίλησε προς το Συμβούλιο Ασφαλείας των Ηνωμένων Εθνών στη Νέα Υόρκη. Ήταν μια ομιλία για την οποία αργότερα θα δεχόταν πολύ κριτική.
What has been happening in Cyprus since last Monday morning is a real tragedy. The military regime of Greece has callously violated the independence of Cyprus without trace of respect of the democratic rights of the Cypriot people, without trace of respect of the independence and sovereignty of the Republic of Cyprus.
Ο Ετσεβίτ συναντήθηκε στο Λονδίνο και με τον Σίσκο. Του έθεσε τους τουρκικούς όρους, οι οποίοι ήταν η παρουσία τουρκικών δυνάμεων στην Κύπρο, η απομάκρυνση του Σαψών από την εξουσία, καθώς επίσης και η αντικατάσταση των Ελλήνων αξιωματικών. Ο Σίσκο ζήτησε λίγο χρόνο προκειμένου να πάει στην Αθήνα και να πείσει την ελληνική χούντα να δεχτεί τους τουρκικούς όρους. Η αντίστροφη μέτρηση είχε αρχίσει.
I said, give me 48 hours, Mr. Prime Minister. I will fly to Athens and then I'll come from Athens right to Ankara and I will bring to you the results of whatever I've been able to achieve in Athens.
Παρασκευή 19 Ιουλίου. Ο Σίσκο και η συνοδεία του φτάνουν στην Αθήνα με ένα αεροσκάφος της Αμερικανικής πολεμικής αεροπορίας. Ο Σίσκο πηγαίνει κατευθείαν στην πρεσβεία και ζητάει από τους διπλωμάτες και τη CIA να κανονίσουν αμέσως ένα ραντεβού με τον Ιωαννίδη.
Went to whatever building it was, Tasca was along and one or two other people from the embassy. And I said to Mr. Ioannidis that the United States policy was that these were two friendly NATO allies. We did not want a destabilization. That the unilateral action on the part of Greece was a unilateral change in the status quo, that we wanted Makarios restored. And the important point I made, and this is the most important point, I said, in my judgment, Mr. Ioannidis, that if you do not take this action, that the Turks will act and they will move militarily.
General Ioannidis was talking about the border with Turkey and Constantinople and war and peace in a sort of a theoretical sense, whereas we were confronted by a very real situation on the ground.
On July 19th, you sent a cable to Dr. Kissinger suggesting a common action plan.
Yes. Yes, I so well remember that. I thought that American policy was quite obscure. I had no idea what it was they wanted to do, except I knew what their attitude would be about keeping Turkey in NATO. But Kissinger was also concerned at that time about the colonels. Again, because he saw everything in terms of the relationship between the East and West. He thought that it was better to have, I believe he thought it was better to have even a government like that with whom he had no sympathy than to have a weak government destroyed and perhaps a government more sympathetic, as he would have thought, to Moscow in place.
There was in the Nixon in the White House a feeling of sympathy for the colonels, as one of the senior members of the administration said to me at the time. The president, who was then under assault because of the Watergate issue, has a certain sympathy for heads of government who are under assault.
What they came back with was the notion that perhaps we might agree to UN inspectors who could inspect whether armaments were going into the country. That sort of essentially cosmetic sort of response. And when they gave me that response, I said to them very, very clearly, this is too little, too late. I am going to Ankara. You are sending me to Ankara empty-handed. I remember the words that I used.
Η Τουρκία προετοιμαζόταν εντωμεταξύ για την εισβολή στην Κύπρο. Ακόμα και το σύνθημα για την έναρξη της επιχείρησης ήταν έτοιμο.
İşte kahvaltı ediyoruz filan.
Παίρναμε πρωινό με τον Γκιουνές και αστειευόμασταν όταν του είπα ότι τηλεφώνησαν από την Άγκυρα και είπαν ότι η ΑΙΣΕ μπορεί να πάει διακοπές. Ο Γκιουνές με στραβοκοίταξε και τότε αναρωτήθηκα μήπως είχα πει κάτι που δεν έπρεπε να πω. Είχα μεγάλη οικειότητα μαζί του και εκείνος άρχισε να με βρίζει λέγοντας γιατί δεν του το είχα πει από χθες. Βγήκαμε στο διάδρομο και τότε με πιάνει και μου λέει «Βρε εσύ τι έκανες, αυτό που είπες είναι το σύνθημα». Αναρωτήθηκα γιατί δεν μου το είχε πει από την αρχή και η απάντηση του Γκιουνές ήταν ότι δεν πίστευε ότι θα χρησιμοποιούσε ποτέ αυτό το σύνθημα.
Ο Σίσκο φτάνει στην Άγκυρα και περιμένει 3 ώρες για να συναντηθεί με τον Ετσεβίτ, ενώ στο διπλανό δωμάτιο συνεδρίαζε το Υπουργικό Συμβούλιο για να πάρει την απόφαση για την απόβαση. Εκείνες τις δραματικές ώρες ο Κίσινγκερ είχε συνεχείς τηλεφωνικές επαφές με τον Ετσεβίτ, τον οποίον είχε μαθητεί σε ένα σεμινάριο στο Χάρβαρντ.
I think that he probably tried to avoid it in the sense of making some pro forma statements to the Turks, but I don't think that the full weight of the United States was thrown against the invasion at the time.
While still at the stage of seeking a peaceful solution, I don't want to talk about other alternatives, although, as I said before, we are prepared for any eventuality. What happened in effect in Cyprus was the use of force. We can never forget that. A humanitarian responsibility above all. To the Turkish community on the island who are held there as hostages without any access to sea or to air. All the ports are under the control of the Greeks. They have closed down the Nicosia airport for several days. but it was open to airplanes coming from Greece, carrying God knows who, hundreds of people every day, and yet the Turkish community there hasn't access to anywhere. So we must be ready for any eventuality, but primarily we are seeking a peaceful...
We got there late at night, and I went over and I took Macomber came along as the ambassador, and I met with Ecevit in what I think was the defense establishment, because we were in an outer room, a reception room, and to the door to the right, I can remember, the cabinet was meeting. They were there. He walked out and said, the cabinet is in there, and they've asked me to step out and take your report. I had Macomber, told Macomber to send a critic cable to Washington to light up all the lights. And I said flatly that in light of what I failed to get in Athens, that in my judgment, military intervention on the part of Turkey was imminent, and that while I would be seeing Ecevit in the next few minutes, that Washington should expect that this would occur. And in sending that critic message, when I say lighting all the lights, that meant all the way from the president right everywhere else.